Hi everyone, I'm Nalini and this is my husband Jason. For those of you who haven't met him, he's the brains behind a lot of what goes on tech-wise here. So, what? Our tech is getting better. But I'm going to use him as a model today because we're going to be talking about Chaturanga Dandasana. It is a pose that we encounter a lot through our practices, especially a yoga flow class or a vinyasa class. And they usually happen pretty quickly. So it can be easy to not get the alignment quite right and just rush through it. So we're going to really slow it right down today, do a few exercises to start to build strength through a chaturanga and talk about the do's and don'ts, and also just give lots of different options. It's a really strong pose and there is a tendency to I'll just do it anyway, it's quick, rather than to pull back and find correct alignment. So for those who don't know, Chaturanga Dandasana, do you want to demonstrate? Is what we move through when we're going through a vinyasa after the plank. We draw forward and lower until the arms come to a 90-degree angle. Here is Chaturanga. The rest of it's different. So this is what we're focusing on today. You can come back up and press back down dog. Press back down dog. Yeah. And then come back down onto your knees, Jay. Yeah. So it's that pose. And you really don't want to be in it longer than a couple of seconds. So it's a hard one to workshop because of that. But there's lots of different ways to start to build strength so that when we come to that, it feels more accessible. And what we're going to start working with is just figuring out how it feels to have the arms at a 90-degree angle. So little dinosaur arms. In our chaturanga, we want this perfect 90 degrees. We don't want to be in at a tighter angle, or we don't want to be collapsing the shoulders forward. So real dinosaur arms. Take your wrists to elbow height, elbows in beside the sides of your ribs, and then imagine that you're holding peas just at the outside of your rib cage and keep those peas there. Make sure the peas don't drop. So there's a wrap in of the triceps toward the ribs to support the shoulders from collapsing down if the elbows go out. So in and up to lift. So focusing on that 90-degree angle, we are going to come into our tabletop. Hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Draw the belly up toward the lower back, so we're working with the neutral spine. Grip into the fingertips. And then we're just going to slowly as possible start to lower the elbows. And notice if your elbows want to pop out to either side, wrap the triceps in, lower the elbows down, and then press into the hands, lift back up. Nice slow movements. Because we're in our tabletop, there's not too much weight that we're working with here, so we can really slow the movement down, filling out without fatiguing quite as much. As you come up, make sure you're really pressing out of the shoulders, lower down. Avoid the temptation to go too low and come back up. And we'll do a couple more, lower down, wrap the triceps in, come back up. Lower down, it's an exhale. And lift is an inhale. Okay, so starting to feel what it means for the arms to be at 90 degrees. We're going to keep this going, coming down onto the belly and into our Sphinx pose. If you do niggle through your lower back in this shape, make sure you're not doing what I'm doing, which is just really collapsing down into this. You want to be pressing out of your Sphinx. So elbows underneath shoulders, fingers spread wide, grip into the fingertips, untuck the toes, press through the tops of the feet, press down through the pubic bone and draw your pubic bone forward. The chest starts to track forward between the upper arms. That's it. So press down into the elbows, inhale. As you exhale, lift the belly button off the mat, keeping those arms at a 90-degree angle. Inhale. Exhale, lift the hips off the mat. Keeping the arms at a 90-degree angle, keep wrapping the elbows in. Inhale. Exhale, lift the knees off the mat. That's it. And then slowly lower knees, hips, and let the belly relax a little bit. I reckon you could bring your elbows in just a tiny bit. So let's do this together, finding the 90-degree angle of the arms, spreading the fingers, pressing into the tops of the feet. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, firm the belly button to lower back. Inhale. Exhale, draws the hips up away from the mat. Inhale. Exhale, draws the knees up away from the mat. Press out of the shoulders. We'll go down slower. Inhale. Exhale, just knees down. Inhale. Exhale, carefully lower the hips. Inhale. Exhale, relax the belly. One more. Inhale. Exhale, firm the belly. Inhale. Exhale, hips lift, push out of the shoulders. Inhale. Exhale, knees lift. Inhale. Exhale, knees down, nice and controlled. Inhale. Exhale, hips down. Inhale. Exhale, let the belly relax. Press into the hands, stack the toes, and take a little moment in your Balasana, child's pose. Knees can be together or knees can be apart, forehead to the mat or to anything supporting it. Make sure the head can go heavy in your relaxation. And already here, we're starting to really work strongly with the body, so you might notice the breath start to catch. Make sure if you're ever workshopping any of these stronger poses that you do give yourselves time to rest in between. We don't want to just push and fatigue. We want to build stamina through these shapes. So now we've got a pretty good feel of what that 90-degree dinosaur arm is like. We really want to work on holding the P's and being dinosaurs. We're going to start to work with shapes that resemble Chaturanga a little bit more now. We'll keep the knees down. And I will say, like, there's a tendency to want to go straight to the full shape. Knees down is still incredibly strong. Knees down tabletop is still incredibly strong. So working step by step, finding the structure first is definitely the best way to go about it. We're going to use blocks. Jason's going to use blocks. If you don't have blocks at home, which is most of us, anything that is about the same height or the same distance between your shoulder and your elbow and is that high. So like, I don't know, what do you reckon, a case of beer? Or anything, get creative. And then if you come up with something super cool, please send me a photo. We're going to use blocks today because we are still in the studio. Sorry. Now he wants a beer. You got to work for it first. So coming up, placing your hands behind the blocks. I'm going to do it without blocks. Just about a hand's distance back. Spread the fingers, press into the palms. Knees are underneath hips. So we're going to start from our tabletop, and then we're going to work up. Grip into the fingertips. Just leaning forward. Keep the arms straight to start. Shoulders in front of wrists, chest toward fingertips or toward the line of your fingertips, and then exhale, roll back, keep the arms straight. Inhale, roll forward, keep pushing away from the mat. Exhale, roll back. One more time, inhale. Exhale, make sure you're not letting the hips drop either. So inhale, come forward. Not softening down, but keep drawing the hips up. This time we're going to exhale, bend the elbows. The elbows bend back toward the knees. Find those P's, squeeze in. You can stay quite shallow like I am, or you might want to come down into your shoulders or in line with your elbows. Just a tap, not too much weight on the block. Inhale, press back up. Keep pressing the space between the shoulder blades up. So we don't need to go too low. Inhale, come forward. Maybe working to that full 90 degrees or keeping it a little more shallow. Come back up. Press back. One more time. Inhale, roll forward. Keep pushing away from the mat. Exhale, lower. Find those P's. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, press back. Take a child's pose. So we don't want the shoulders to come below the elbows. And when you're in the middle of the shape, you really want the shoulders to come below the elbows because it feels quite heavy. You just want the floor. What we need to be doing the whole time is pushing away from the floor as actively as possible. So starting that in your tabletop, finding the push away, and then coming forward, still pushing away. Even as the elbows bend, imagine your arms are just getting shorter, but you're trying to keep the mat as far away from you as you can. So rather than collapsing down toward it, we're keeping that space. All right, and that might be where you want to work today. That might be where we want to build strength. Be mindful of your wrists. There's a really deep angle of the wrist as you come forward. So give them a nice bit of opening after you practice this. How are you feeling? Shall we take it? Ready for a full one? We're not going to go there just yet. We've got one more step before a full one. Jelly arms. So being mindful about your hand positioning on the mat, spreading the fingers and pressing down firmly through the knuckle of the pointer finger. Often, if the elbows are coming out, we're probably getting light through that side of the hand. So glue down, wrap the elbows in. We are going to, come a little bit more toward me. Again, pull your whole tabletop back. More, and then walk the hands forward until they're a hand's distance behind the blocks. That's it. Then rock forward, shoulders over wrists. Rock a little bit further forward. Be careful not to drop the hips. Belly button pulls toward lower back. Exhale, bend the elbows. That's it. Inhale, come back up. We've gone too low. Exhale, bend the elbows. Light tap on the block. Inhale, come back up. One line. Exhale, bend the elbows, wrap in. Now press back up. That's it, and then press back, child's pose. So as you come forward, one thing we haven't talked about is drishti, or gaze, where we're looking. At one point there, Jason started looking down, and you could see his whole shape start to pull forward. Shoulders were collapsing down. Similarly, you don't want to be jutting the head forward. You don't want to be coming in like this because it's just going to strain the neck and feel a little bit weird. You want to keep the neck just as long as the spine. So looking either directly into your hands or maybe like 30 centimeters in front. I look toward the top of the mat because that's where I want to move to eventually. Okay? So coming back into your half plank, spreading the fingers, inhale, exhale, bend, squeeze the P's, and then inhale, come back up. You ready for a full one now? All right. Come to your downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Get rid of them. Finding your down dog. Gluing down the inside edges of the hands. Rolling the armpits in toward each other. So wrapping the outer arms in. That way. Other way, All right, on the inhale, come forward, find your plank. And then we want to come a little bit further forward, shoulders in front of wrists. Push away from the mat, exhale, lower. That's it. Squeeze the P's. Inhale, press back up. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 more times. Inhale, come forward, find your plank. Exhale, lower. And if you feel the hips collapsing, come all the way down. That's it. Keep going. Exhale, downward facing dog. Oh. One more time. Inhale, come forward, find your plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press back up. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then take a break. You deserve one. Thank you, Jason. So when we do move through a vinyasa, after chaturanga, the next move is the upward facing dog. But if we're going too low, if we're dipping our shoulders down too low, that's where we cause injury. The sweep through is a really tricky area. So starting to practice Chaturanga without that sweep through, just the building strength of lowering down and pressing back up. If you're not yet able to press straight back up, don't go to your up dog. Drop your knees, try it. Lower down, press back up. If that's not working, come to your tabletop, lower down, press back up. Build that strength first so we're not dipping the shoulders to lift. I'm going to show you some misalignments now so we know what not to do.
To do it how I normally do it?
No, you do good Chaturangas. I'm going to show the misalignments because I see them more than you do. So, what we don't want to be doing is coming forward through our plank and then keeping the hips up and dipping the shoulders down. Look at the angle of my neck, look at the angle of my shoulders. How am I going to get to my up dog from here? It's going to crunch. And also there's absolutely no way I'm pushing back up out of this. So really important to keep that line between elbow and shoulders, that 90-degree angle of the forearm. Another misalignment that we don't want. We're coming up, we're feeling a little heavy in our plank, and then we go to lower, but bending the arms is really hard, and then suddenly we're here, and then we're like, oh, basically an up dog. Not so good on the lower back. Now, because I've just dumped my hips, you can probably see the angle of my lower back is really sharp, whereas the rest of my back is still not very bent or pretty straight. So we really don't ever want to be here. As you come into any sort of back bend, you're aiming for a smooth curve of the back rather than like super sharp and then super straight. So, no shoulders lower, no hips lower. We want to be in a straight line as much as possible. Do you have any questions?
Tell me if I do it right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to comment on your up dog because that's a whole nother tutorial. But that was really good. Not going too low, keeping one nice line between shoulders and hips. And now you're just showing off. Yeah, let us know if you've got any questions. Comment below and we will get answers to you as soon as possible. Thank you.